state television company Western Armenia represents the most important news for today. Good day. Today's broadcast. Ambassador Guillermo Karamanyan was invited by the Writers' Union of Buenos Aires on the state recognition of Western Armenia in 1917-1920. In Baku, the U.S. ambassador visited Shushi. 43 years ago, Russian troops carried out the Koltso operation in Voskepar. Islam and the genocide committed against the Armenians. The immutable changes of denial. Guler's Fishermen of Gumgapu photo series will be shown in Constonopole. Ambassador Guillermo Karamanyan was invited to the Writers' Union of Buenos Aires. In the Republic of Argentina, the ambassador of the Republic of Western Armenia, Guillermo Karamanyan, was invited to the Writers' Union of Buenos Aires. The ambassador was invited to give a speech at the closing of the annual meeting of writers under the slogan Dialogues with the Moon in his speech. Guillermo Karamanyan presented the territory of Western Armenia where the indigenous Armenian population has been living for thousands of years. Speaking about Western Armenia, the ambassador noted that Western Armenia is a state of Armenia from the point of view of international public law, which was recognized by more than 40 countries in 1920, and this recognition has legal force today. The Republic of Western Armenia is the continuation of that state. This native Armenian people is subjected to the tax by Azerbaijan and Turkey, noted the ambassador. You can watch the speech of the ambassador Guillermo Karamanyan on the website of Western Armenian TV. On the state recognition of Western Armenia 1917-1920. The news of the signing of the Treaty of Sivers reaches Armenia almost a week later, on the 19th of the month. Haraj newspaper writes in its editorial, August 10 should remain a historical date in the history of the world and especially in the history of East. The treaty was highlighted not only for the creation of Armenia, but also for the hope that Kemals would soon weaken as well. In the same period, Hamo Hanjanyan writes in his memoirs, the fact Western Armenia was signed in Sivers, by which the united independent Armenia was also recognized. Now favorable conditions are being created for us, and we will soon have the opportunity to annex the Armenian provinces of Western Armenia to our current borders as well. It was interesting that politicians of many major states saw the need to establish Armenian domination by military force in the territory of occupied Western Armenia. Back in April at the San Remo conference, British Prime Minister Lloyd George stated that the Western Armenia does not have enough power to establish authority in all Armenian regions. At that time, the main issue of discussion was Karin. On the other hand, it was clear that without Karin, Armenia would not be able to have a stable access to the sea. On the other hand, would the Armenians be able to defend the territories they received under the agreement? The concern of the Prime Minister of England was that the Turks could not oppress the Armenians and commit new massacres. Armenians saw two main difficulties for the implementation of the Treaty of Sivers. The first was the smallness of the Armenian population, due to which it was possible for the President of the United States, Wilson, to make certain concessions. It was already obvious that the Armenian side will receive much less territory than it expected. Our land disputes with Tajikistan are about 6 vilayets and Kilikia, and it can be seen against our will and are forced to give up some historical and ethnographic regions that are our property, wrote Haraj in 1920 on August 22. U.S. Ambassador from Baku, Mark Libby, visited Shushi veranda with his wife. It was mentioned in the message of the American representation. On the spot, the ambassador met with government representatives and educators. Ambassador Mark Libby announced that the visit was prepared for about 2 months. I am glad it finally happened. As long as we have such willing partners in Baku, the U.S. will continue to work to support the economic development of this country, added the ambassador. Ambassador Mark Libby announced that the visit was prepared for about 2 months. I am glad it finally happened. As long as we have such willing partners in Baku, the U.S. will continue to work to support the economic development of this country, added the ambassador. Today it turns out that Ambassador Mark Libby is visiting Shushi with his wife. What has changed during these days that the time has come to visit Shushi for the ambassador? No doubt that the assignment came from Washington. The question is why. There can be many possible answers. And could it be that Washington expresses its displeasure with the process taking place in Eastern Armenia, which, if successful, will lead to a change in the political situation in Eastern Armenia? And this is in turn may mean that the situation regarding the agreement of April 19 may change due to the change in the political situation. And the importance of the agreement for the USA is evidenced by the fact that the next year Secretary of State Blinken personally welcomed it in his note. And the issue is quite important for the USA, and it is not only Russia's situation here. Note that Blinken called Aliyev and Pashinyan after his visit to Beijing. And the visit to Beijing was, to put it mild, not too effective. In parallel, the president of China started a visit to European countries, France, Hungary, Serbia. The positional situation in the Caucasus is becoming important for the USA. Today, on the 43rd anniversary of the policeman killed in the territory of Voskepar village, a memorial ceremony was held in the Noyemberian community. This was reported by the Tavush governor's office. Those present paid tribute in 1991 in memory of the police officers who died on the territory of Voskepar village on May 6. On May 5 at night and the morning of May 6, 18 Armenians, mostly policemen, were killed in the village of Voskepar, which was besieged by Soviet troops for about a week. Some were captured, 3 wounded died in Ganzak prison. Soviet paratroopers surrounded the Voskepar under the pretext of disarming the volunteers. Former policeman Georgy Kocharyan was captured and kept in Ganzak prison for 101 days. Noyemberian's police personnel, 18 people plus 6 more civilians, had to pass by turns. It was possible to enter the closed Voskepar only by a detour, a mountain road. It was on this road that the Soviet troops set an ambush and the shift was blocked. The forces were unequal and the paratroopers immediately went on the attack. Now, Koltso 2 operation is being carried out in Voskepar. It successfully ended in Artsakh in September 2023. Western Armenia TV undertakes to maintain objectivity when speaking about Islam and the genocide against Armenians. We note that the views are opposite. It is difficult to justify the contradictions of the young Turks and genocidal actions with Islamic provision, taking into account the different interpretations of the Quran, Sunnah and Hadiths. In Islam, there are provisions to give special status to certain communities, to be kind to them, to guarantee the safety of their lives. According to the principles of Islam, a crime is a crime regardless of how many people are affected. Examples are numerous, and one can draw a conclusion that Christians or Muslims reading the same surah or verse of the Quran can make different interpretations. The linguistic and stylistic flexibility of the Quran allows the same sentence or phrase to be discussed from multiple perspectives and to make polar opposite interpretations. This is evidenced by the many thousands of volumes of Quran commentaries that are still in existence. On November 23 of the same year, a new manifesto was published which required the Muslims of the world to submit to the requirements of the Quran and protect Islam and its sanctuaries. Religious fanatism was also used during the implementation of the genocide against the Armenians, when the young Turkish government manipulated the factor of religion, and it was done at the state level. The first step of denial was to erase history by making it impossible to understand the existing record of the actions of the Ottoman rulers. The main working mechanism of the state ideology was the Ministry of Education, which at the same time merged with Turkish nationalism, and through history textbook placed in the depths of society's consciousness the thought that Armenians are enemies and ready to betray at every opportunity. In the first years of the Republic, in the book History Lessons for Turkish Children, written by Emin Ali and intended for 4th grade students, there is no reference to Armenian-Turkish relations in any of the 7 different sections, from the Great Civilization to the establishment of the Republic. Moreover, the word Armenian is not even used. History lessons for elementary school children prepared by Suleiman Edip and Ali Tevfik in 1929. Some developments are observed in the 4th grade textbook. In this textbook, even though there is no section about Armenians, nevertheless, in the section about the constitution, Armenians, Greeks and Albanians are represented as divisive foreigners who want to be separate from the Turks and are happy about the weakness of the state, even intending to destroy the huge empire. Thus, the word Armenian for the first time, although in a negative sense, found a place in the passages of the official history of Turkey. Another history textbook published in 1914, written by the teachers named Abdullah Baki and Sabri Esad, the history book of Mike Keaton. In the book entitled Elementary School 4th grade, the lines Armenia was founded in the eastern provinces. First, we defeated the Armenians in the east, then the French in the south are included. It can be said that the 1914s are the period of the formation of the official Turkish thesis, when Armenians are presented as enemies of Turks, helping other enemies. Then it is presented in detail how the Turkish armed forces trampled Armenia. The exhibition of the photo series Fishermen of Gumgapu will be held in Constonopole. The article series, together with the Armenian Fishermen of Gumgapu, on the basis of which the photo series was made, was published from May 21 to 27, 1952 in the Armenian daily Zhamanak, published in Constonopole. In the articles written by Guler at the age of 24, accompanied by pictures, it was told about the fishermen's dwelling, the people working there, and their lifestyle. It has remained in the passage of history as one of Guler's successful photo reports, which should bring him success in the near future in terms of building an international career. It is noteworthy that the picture related to Gumgapu from the archives of the world-famous Polish Armenian photographer journalist are being exhibited for the first time. The exhibition started on May 8 at the Guler Museum and will last until October 27 of this year. It will be also possible to buy the book of the same name of the exhibition at the shop in the museum. This was all for today. Goodbye.
Պատմությունը կրկնվելու հատկություն ունի Հայը հայանա ապրելու իրավունք ունի Ես էլ մեկն եմ նրանցից ու իմացեք կամ Ու իմ արածնել կորցրել եմ մի քանի անգամ Ես իրավունք ունեմ ունենալու տուն հող Ապրելու իմ տանը անվտանգ ապահով Ես իրավունք ունեմ իմ պատմությունը պատմելու Կրկնակի իրավունք իմ ապագան փոխելու Ինձ լսեն իմ տան պատերը իմանան ես կամ Մարել եմ իշ կարողացել եմ բայց դες անգամ Ամեն ինչ ուրիշ կերպ էր թշնամին մի քանի Պարզվում էր որ մենակ էին